one of my concerns for us is that we will hear good teaching week after week, and then for one reason or another, do nothing about it. I think that's the temptation of a lot of Christians in the West and all around the world, if we're honest. So we've been trying to figure out, how do we do this together as a church? I think the main call here is one that you need to do individually in your lives, but how can we as a church do things together that Jesus did? So we've been experimenting with this a little bit. I have a dream for our church that we would hear a teaching and immediately obey. I would rather us be known as a church not for great teaching, but for great obedience to the teaching that we hear. And so we did a series on prayer this summer, and then we took a Sunday and prayed together. And more recently, we taught on the baptism of Jesus. And then we had a baptism. And so now we come to this point in the Gospel of Matthew, which is our first major hinge point, where we're going from narrative and we're going to start looking at the teaching of Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount in chapter 5 through 7. So we're trying to think of ways that we can immediately obey. And I can't think of a better way for us as a church to do that than to take a Sunday morning and go out into our city and serve the most vulnerable in our city. And for that to prepare our hearts for the words of Jesus when we come back and hear him say, "Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are the merciful." So in 2 weeks, on November 19th, we're having what we call a Service Sunday. We're going to spread out throughout the city from about 7:30 a.m. to about 9:30 a.m., and we're going to go and feed the homeless downtown. We're going to go and put on a church service at a nursing home. We're going to go volunteer at the Teresa Women's Shelter for women who have been involved in domestic violence. And for those who have small children, we want to partner with you, and we're going to have an opportunity here at the building to pack Operation Christmas Child boxes so you can do that with your kids. And I would encourage you as families to do that, but also to prayerfully consider, if you can, for one of you to go and serve the city outside of these walls. And so for the next 2 weeks, we've got sign-ups in the hallway out here where you can sign up for one of these opportunities. And I want that to condition our hearts for us to see the poor and vulnerable and elderly in our city before we look at the words of Jesus. So I'd encourage you to prayerfully consider that this morning.